Should work now. Let's go there. Okay. All right, from the top. There we go. All right, here we go. Salute to Knicks Nation on this Friday afternoon, or Friday evening, rather. Another KnicksFanTV Bleacher Report simulcast. CP the Fanchise back on the show is our guy Trilogy, a.k.a. James Edwards III. On today's show, those New York Knicks are playoffs bound, man. We're going to talk about playoff expectations and what we can expect from a depleted Knicks team. 10 games left heading into the postseason. Plus, Jalen Brunson has given a little bit of an update on his rehab. He talks about that on the Roommates Pod. And some major NBA coaching news. Taylor Jenkins is out as Memphis Grizzlies head coach. We got to talk about that. And, hey, what can the Knicks learn from that ouster? What can Knicks fans potentially glean from that ouster? So let's talk about it, man. Hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. Knicks and Bucks tipping off at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time in Milwaukee. Let's see how they fare there. Okay. My guy Trilogy back in the building, man. How you feeling, bro?
I'm good, man. I appreciate you having me on as always. How are you?
Yeah, you know what? I'm good, but I you know what I'm about to say, man.
People coming for you lately. Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. You know it's that time of year. You know you're new here. This is your first year. Like you know how like the players ramp up for the postseason. I ramp up for the arrows at the people. You know, they start the year off, they're appreciative, you know, they dap you up at the watch parties, you're shaking hands, you're kissing babies and all of that. And then by like game 50, oh, it's all hell breaking loose, man.
They're turning on you,
They turn on you at least once a year. You know what I mean? So all the infighting is that's what makes KnicksFanTV so great and why I'm so passionate about what I do, you know.
Yeah, man. Hey, listen, you can't be a fan if you're not a fanatic.
That's right. That's right.
That's the rules.
That's it. So the Knicks did back into the playoffs, I guess, with the Atlanta Hawks losing to the Miami Heat yesterday. You know, team is depleted right now. Final 10 games left. How do you think they tackle this? I mean, you know, 3, 4, and 5 are still within range. Like nothing is set in stone. But I'd like to see this team maybe, you know, heal up for the playoffs. How do you think Tibbs handles this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be interesting. Tibbs obviously doesn't strike me as a guy that's like going to play for seeding. I know a lot of Knicks fans would prefer that they drop to 4. They'd rather face Cleveland in the second round, assuming they get through in the first round than Boston. I don't think Tibbs operates that way. You want to win as many games as possible, and his big thing all year has been build every day with the goal of playing our best toward the end of the year. And obviously, they're not doing that right now. And a big part of that is, I mean, it's impossible to do that without Jalen Brunson.
Right.
But I think my biggest concern is that even when Brunson was playing, they were kind of sputtering a bit. Not that it was his fault. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying that the offense that was almost flawless looked a little finicky. The defense was inconsistent. So now you take Jalen out of the equation. They're not really able to figure all those things out with the whole group. And who knows when he'll be back. So I think these last 10 games is going to be interesting how he handles it. I do think that he tries to win until it's like mathematically decided that they're locked in at a seed. Like I just think that's how it's going to go. And even then, you never know, right? So I'm curious to find out as well. This Milwaukee game tonight will be interesting because if the Knicks win, that's a big win for them. But also Milwaukee drops a little further from Detroit, but Detroit also plays Cleveland tonight. So
yeah,
it could be a preview of the first round matchup. So we'll see. I don't think it's been I'm not sure. Fred is filling in for me in Milwaukee, so I haven't paid close attention. I don't know if Giannis has been officially ruled out yet. Sounds like he maybe will learn that in like an hour or so.
Okay, so the Greek Freak is nursing an injury. We know Damian Lillard looks like that could be a season ender for them. Okay, so we may not even have the Greek Freak in this one.
Yeah, he was out with I think a foot sprain the other night, and he was listed as questionable yesterday for tonight. And I haven't seen if they've updated anything. So if it's out there, I apologize, but
yeah,
there's a chance we probably learn. I think so. It's 4:25 there. That means Doc will talk at the game 7:30
Hmm.
Milwaukee time. So he'll talk at like 5:45. So 6:45 here. If we haven't learned, we should probably have a better idea then.
Okay. Okay. Very interesting. So, as we look at the standings here, the Knicks are up 2.5 up on the Pacers. Pacers
Yeah.
sitting in 4th seed. They are up 4.5 up on the Detroit Pistons, who sit in the 5th seed. But then you have Detroit and the Bucks separated by a half game here. So it
Yeah.
could be very interesting, man. And this could be a potential Knicks versus Bucks matchup. Could be a Knicks versus Pistons matchup. What do you think about the potential of a first round matchup between those two teams?
Yeah, it is going to be interesting. Cade has also been out the last 3 games, and the Pistons have listed him day to day with a calf bruise. So down this stretch here, I can't imagine that they would just like have Cade be cold turkey into the playoffs. If the injury is not as serious as it appears, I'm sure he'll probably play sometime soon, just to ramp up going into the playoffs. But the Bucks and Pistons also play game 81 and 82 this year, or at
That's
the
crazy.
at the end of this season. So I
Yeah.
think the Bucks are 2-0 against Detroit this year, but they still have 2 games left, so it could get interesting all the way to the last day. With that said, I think even with a healthy Dame and Giannis, I wrote a piece I think a week ago. I think that's the team that the Knicks want the most. They've just completely dominated them this season. Obviously, the Bucks are a little bit different. They've added Kyle Kuzma, who's still not shooting the ball well, but at least he's available and does other things well. Middleton was obviously up and down throughout the year as he was still trying to get used to playing coming off an injury. But the way that the Knicks play, like all the shots the Bucks give you defensively, like those are the shots Jalen wants.
That's it.
He eats in the mid range. New York has had great success against kind of lumbering centers. Brook Lopez has not looked himself most of this season. He's
Right.
really not looked himself when he's gone up against Brunson and Cat. That team, I think, the way that people talk about how Boston and Cleveland handles the Knicks have pretty much handled Milwaukee that way, and I'm not sure that changes. Now Detroit, obviously a team that's inexperienced, but everybody kind of remembers that Atlanta group a few years ago that made the run to the Eastern Conference Finals. Detroit kind of has that darling feel about them this year. They play tough as hell. They're the number 2 defense in the league since January 1st. They have a lot of guys hungry to prove themselves, and if you ask Cade Cunningham, he'd be the best player in that series. So I think the big thing for Detroit is if you're New York, you worry about just kind of the hunger that you're going to see from a Pistons team, and obviously they play very fast as well. Now they do turn the ball over, and you do have to worry about them in that atmosphere if it is the Garden their first time. To their credit, they've won twice in the Garden this year, and that's why I just think they're not the best matchup for like an end of season Knicks team. The Pistons play fast, they play hard. We see the Knicks are dealing with some injuries. We've seen tired legs here and there. I just think Milwaukee is like the team that I feel pretty confident that the Knicks would handle in the first round.
Yeah, I agree with you. Matchup wise, it could be best for them, and especially if Dame doesn't play. I think that changes
Yeah, exactly.
everything. But the way the Milwaukee defends, especially when Lopez most of the time is going to be in the drops, Portis is going to be coming back off of the injury. I think the Knicks, especially matchup wise, it could be a better matchup against the Bucks. Pistons will be physical with them. And I am leery about that. But I also look at so much inexperience and guys who need to exercise so many demons on the Pistons, especially Tobias Harris and Timmy and Malik Beasley. Those guys are having a great year. Give Trajan Langdon credit, man. He found lightning in a bottle with those guys and bringing them aboard. But I just look at their inexperience as a potential to swing in the Knicks' favor. So yeah,
For sure. I just think they're too much of a wild card because, like
Yeah.
you said, they could be frazzled by the moment. But also, if we're going off kind of their history this year, they've dropped their balls on the table on a lot of teams and been ready to go. So it could go either way, and I think that coin flip makes it a little more. I just feel like there's just no way Milwaukee can. Like Milwaukee maybe wins a game because I don't want to disrespect Giannis.
Sure.
But I mean, I think we have a good enough sample size to suggest that the Knicks would do what they've done against the Bucks. Maybe they wouldn't win by 20, 30 every time, but
Yeah.
be able to handle them.
Man, Trilogy, man. So many fans, especially after these losses. We're losing in the first round. We're not getting out the first round. It's over with. I mean, this is a different season, man. Like, these last couple of years, this is playoff number 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
The last few, it's been, man, we're so happy to be here. Let's make some noise. Now it's like, forget about these guys. They're cooked. So it's completely different now. When you look at this team, in terms of the effort wanes, first half of the Clippers, Taylor 2 halves. Is it, I think it could be a multitude of things, but I mean, is it tired legs, tired minds? Like, are they looking forward to the playoffs? What do you think it is when you see this team?
It's funny you bring that up. I was talking with some of the other beat guys the other day, and I'm familiar with the Knicks fans, and I've been familiar with the team the last few years, just covering the league and coming to the Garden twice a year covering the Pistons. And I asked them, I was like, have you guys noticed people aren't as locked in with this team as of late, like fans aren't? They're like, yeah, last year's team was the interest in last year's team was way higher. Way higher. It's not even people have we have metrics for stuff, stuff's doing well, but people have tuned out almost. People are either ready for the playoffs or they just don't like this team.
Totally.
And I think part of it is expectations, right? I always used to say this. When I covered the Pistons the last few years, I always knew that I could take my first vacation a week after the regular season started. I think the issue here is everybody kind of sees an expiration date on this team this year. I think everybody, if you ask most fans, they feel like second round at the best. And it's just a prolonged kind of waiting period, right? There's no mystery in what can happen. I think most fans feel like, all right, we should get out of the first round, but I'm not sure. There are mysteries there, but it's they know that they're not getting out of it. I mean, there are some Knicks fans who think that they can give Cleveland a run for their money, and I respect that, and I understand that. I don't know if I agree with it, but I think the feeling is that this team has a second-round ceiling this year. And I think last year's team, because of how tough they played, I think you felt like if they got in the ring with anybody, they had a chance. And the fact that the Knicks have gotten bullied by Boston and bullied by Cleveland, I just think people are tuned out in terms of what this team can be. And I think just the up and down play, I think I go back to the roster and listen, I don't think enough people are talking about how close this team really is to actually being a 6 seed. If right now they're about 500 since January 1st after the Clippers lost. I think they're 21-17. But if you look at that week in, I think, the end of February, where it was 3 Brunson game winners, an OG game winner, and another close one. We're talking about 5 bounces the wrong way that could have easily been losses. They won, and the name of the game is to win. But they're this close to having 5 more losses, and we're talking about this team 5th or 6th, right? It's Jalen has been more than I think people realized it in the moment, but being able to take a step back, he maybe has saved this season with that 1 week stretch that they had. And I don't want to say it's tired legs. Guys play OG's getting better. OG's looking stronger than he has all year.
Yeah.
Jalen just turned an ankle. There was nothing. He stepped on something wrong, and he was looking really good when he was playing. Mikal had a run a week and a half ago, right? Josh Hart just broke the triple-double. So we're seeing stuff. It's just I don't know if I love how this team is put together. I think the lack of depth, me and Fred talked about it, I think both Fred and I have written about it. This starting group had to be perfect for this team to reach its goals this year.
No margin.
It hasn't been perfect.
Yeah.
It hasn't been perfect, and it has a flawed bench.
Yeah.
And I think that's just what we're seeing as the season goes down. And it's going to be fascinating to see with whoever they get in the first round what this looks like, because say it's Indy. They've beaten Indy twice this year, but Indy's a team that plays fast and doesn't turn the ball over. Let's say it's Detroit. Yeah, they're inexperienced, but they've gone into the Garden twice this year and won, and they play fast and they play tough. And Milwaukee, we both think that they would handle Milwaukee pretty comfortably, but they still have the best. Milwaukee would have the best player in that series, right? So Obviously, I understand people waiting to see what happens in the second round, but like I think this first round matchup will tell everything we need to know about where this team is, and obviously with Jalen's availability and his health if he is available. So I don't know if I answered your question, but I just feel like this team is. It's a good team, but a flawed team, and I think it just showed itself as the season's gone on.
Yeah, no question. They are a flawed team, but it's as you said. I still look at OG's play. I think Mikal Bridges is a wild card in this thing. What is Cat gonna do? What are the matchups looking like for him? I feel like Josh Hart is gonna flip that switch. I feel like he's coasting. Yes, the knee is probably ailing him, but he's a guy who I've seen in back-to-back playoffs step his game up.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Josh.
Right, so I'm not really worried. And then, you get Deuce back off the bench. Hopefully the groin heals up. Like, you get Deuce back, that's another shot creator who I think should be playing heavy minutes in the playoffs, both as a defensive factor and as a guy who can give you some shot creation. I'm just not ready to bail on this team, man. I don't
blame you. Listen,
I'm not ready to bail on this team, man.
On paper, they still look as good as any team there is, and we've seen them hit high highs this year. It's just, I think everybody got. Listen, the goal was to compete with the Bostons of the world. Nobody saw this from Cleveland, so now you're throwing Cleveland in the mix, and I think people just walk away like we're not even close.
Yeah,
and I think that just took a little bit of the juice out of people. Personally, you would know better than I. It just felt like everybody loved last year's team because it was unexpected. They were just tough as hell. You felt like they could go in any game and win because of how hard they play. And this team is like super talented, but it doesn't feel like it has that like rough and gruff edge that the last two teams had. And I feel like I feel like the fans see that, and that's why this group's not as relatable to them, I believe.
100%. So to everybody in the chat, once again, hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe to the channel. KnicksFanTV, Bleacher Report simulcast on a Friday. Happy Friday to the family, man. Salute to all the Fanchise channel members in the chat. Richard Rodriguez, salute to you, $5 super chat. On the captain, CB the Fanchise, James Edwards in the building. On the captain, Jalen Brunson, he said on the Roommates Pod, he's doing everything he can. He's putting in work 2-3 times a day to get back. Do you see them prioritizing the All-NBA stuff, or him prioritizing the All-NBA stuff, or do you think that they treat this thing with kid gloves all the way up to the playoffs?
That's a great question, and one I've been going back and forth with. Getting to know Jalen this year, I truly don't think if he's not ready in time to play the final 4 games he needs. I think he cares more about winning.
Me too.
I just getting to know him and having conversations with him and just how he carries himself. I truly think he cares more about winning. He has nothing. Anybody with 2 eyes and a brain knows that Jalen Brunson was one of the best 15 players in basketball this year, whether he plays 61 games or 65.
Right.
I understand it looks good on the basketball reference page. It looks good when your career is over. But in the moment, we all know Jalen Brunson is one of the best 15 players in basketball, and he's closer to 10. And I think that with him, he cares so much about winning that's what's going to be kind of the top priority. In terms of just like what he said, I feel like we'd be able to read it on his face if it was like a little bit more
grim.
What's the word? Yeah. Now I'm not saying it's perfect. He said he can't run yet. So that's obviously like a thing, right? But it felt like his tone was more positive. It was a little more positive than maybe I anticipated it to. And that could be for the fans, right? Like I don't we haven't really been able to see him since he's been down. I know he's been on the bench, but by the time we get in the locker room, he's not there. I know he's been in there with the team, but we get in a little bit after they get situated and stuff. So, yeah, man, I just think Jalen is one of those guys that truly cares about winning. And if his ankle ain't like, they're going to make sure he's 100%. I think.
Gotcha.
I would be shocked if they rush him back just to get to 65 games. They're not. I would be really shocked just the way he handles himself.
And now, as we look at these final 10 games and how to get by, because now you have Deuce McBride is out tonight, Campaign is out tonight with the sprained ankle, Kolek Mania took off a little bit, and then, Clippers kind of took the wind out of his sails, and so did Tibbs, to the anger of the fans. Now you got Kolek and Delon Wright manning the backcourt.
Yeah.
What are we thinking about this, man? I mean, we had fans upset that he took Tyler out in the midst of the comeback against the Clippers, man. What are you thinking about the creator so far?
I think, first of all, Tyler's a really good dude. Competitive as hell, smart. He's going to be a good player in this league. I think he's right now, what I see from him is him observing the game from the bench. When he gets in, trying to give it what he thinks it needs, right? Like, it's very clear that they need a table setter. It's very clear that they need to get the guys going. And I think he's done a tremendous job of that. With that said, he's got to balance being a scoring threat.
Correct.
Passing just for the sake of passing. And I'm not saying he's doing that, but if he's out there with Josh and Mitch, that's 3 guys at this point that aren't looking really to shoot jump shots, that aren't looking to be threats scoring the ball. And at this point, Kolek, since he's been playing heavy minutes, has not been a threat to score the ball. And to his credit, he's getting guys open, great passing angles, not turning the ball over, but you have to be able to look to score. That helps create even better passes and even better movement. So he looks like a rookie who has a lot of promise, and I think that's what it's shown. And obviously defensively, there's a little bit of work there, but everybody kind of knew that. And yeah, I'm curious to see what they do tonight in Milwaukee. This is my prediction. I think they play Josh at point.
Yeah, me too.
Shamet at the 2, or start Mitch with Cat, one of those 2, and have Kolek be the backup.
I agree.
That's my I don't know anything. I haven't heard anything.
Yeah.
Listen, he could start DeLon if he wants Kolek to still be in the backup role. My vote's on Josh starting at point tonight.
Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that. I mean, you got Shaman out there just hoisting up bricks, man. Like, this is the thing, man. Like, this, yeah. And this is the problem. Like, the bench is the bench. People just want this guy to turn this thing into like the second coming here, and then these guys get out there and show you what they are.
I think, Shaman has had a rough go shooting the ball. To his credit, he's been pretty solid defensively. He's a much better defensive player than I thought he was coming in. But he's out there to also make shots, and they need him to.
His energy's good, man. Like, I've never had an issue with his effort and energy. Always there, but he's been brought in to make shots, and he's not hitting it.
And he's not hitting them. And this is my thing when you hear about when you see people talk about the Tibbs minutes thing, and I understand, like, for the long term of this franchise, given how they're built, like, it is important that one of Kolek or Dadier or both become like rotation players. Like, you need that low salary guys on the roster based on how they're built currently as we are today. I also understand, like, Tibbs looking down at the end of the bench, like, who the hell am I putting in right now? Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're very close to the Pacers catching them. And again, I'm sure some fans would like that to happen, but realistically, the coach does not. The coach wants to win as many games as possible. And so I understand both sides of the coin, but it's certainly it's very much a hot topic in the Knicks world.
I'm telling you, man. But no, look, I'm with you and with Tyler, man. He's been creating very well. We know that's his strength, and he's playing to that. But you have to be a threat out there to score. And what I saw in that second half of the Clipper game is, he's just dumping the ball off to Cat, he's dumping the ball off to Josh, he's dumping the ball off. But, like, nobody's creating, and you're the point guard. And then on top of that, he's trying to get to the free throw line. He misses the 2 free throws. All of his shots were short. So he just wasn't as impactful as they needed him to be. And then, fans were irate about that when Tibbs puts him on the bench. I'm like, Delon Wright could potentially be playing games going forward here.
Yeah, you want to give him, like, that was my thing. Was
gotta give him some run.
I think giving DeLon some run to, like, shake the rust off, let him go, because I think they are going to have to lean on him a little bit here, whether it's just like spot minutes here and there, but they are going to have to probably utilize him these next few days.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. What do you think about the Dadier pick in hindsight now? He should look good in Westchester, but clearly a project as we expected when they drafted him. But for a team that they knew they were going after Towns, they went after Bridges, like they knew that their bench was going to be depleted. I would have felt like they would have went, Ryan Dunn gets picked a couple picks after that. I would have thought they would have went with somebody who's ready to contribute right now.
No, that's fair. I will say this. I don't I truly don't think they thought the Towns deal was going to get done until about the time it got done.
Right.
When we were kind of digging on that, when we had heard rumors the day it happened at Friday night, we were digging. We heard some stuff Friday, and it didn't sound like the Timberwolves were going to do it. And then, of course, I get told that my buddy has a welcome to New York party for me. And I had a little too much fun, and my phone goes off, and yeah, you know what I mean? So I have to rush home. Yeah, like I was told this wasn't happening. Like, what's going on? I will say this. I think part of why the financial construct, like it was very clear they were going to go big fish hunting this year because the way that they set up their draft picks. Like Pacome was a first-round pick. He has a very unique deal. Like I think the reason that they took him there is because he's a guy that whatever, I can't remember what his salary is, but it's unique to usually where that pick is.
Yeah.
And it helps with the cap situation. Obviously I think it's important that they have like some projects in there. I think if it were up to them, they would have tried to hold on to Dante in the trade.
Sure.
I can't remember if they're trying to hold on to Dante or the pick. But it's just like, yeah, I'm with you. Like, I don't know if they thought that like the starting five itself would be enough, or if they knew that like it would take another year. That's kind of the issue, right? Like we're left to our own assumptions because I know some people don't care, but the front office doesn't speak. So we don't know what the idea was. Was it did they go all in and thinking like we can compete as soon as this year? Did they know they needed another year? But where's the flexibility coming from next year, right? Like they're starting next year over the first apron. So yeah, I mean, I would love to be able to ask those questions. I think they did a good job of putting together a good solid five that like should kind of always be in the 3 seed, 2 seed race. Kind of remind like it's only 1 year, so I don't want to generalize too much. But if they can't get over the hump, kind of maybe like a 7 seconds or less Phoenix Suns where they look really good in the regular season, but what happens in the playoffs? Can they outlast? Can they wait for Boston to dismantle? Is Cleveland the real deal, right? Or is Detroit for real? Are they coming? Is Orlando just a down year? Like, are they going to bounce back? Like, I think if the goal was to wait out Boston and see, because they have all this luxury tax stuff coming up, maybe they have to make
Cleveland's got some coming up. We just did a cap exercise this week.
Yeah,
they got some
and
stuff
Cleveland has some stuff coming up. It's like if your goal was to wait them out, I get it. That's a good idea. I just don't know if they needed to expend the resources now while they wait for that. Like I think a lot of fans, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think a lot of fans would have been happy with 3.0 of last year's team. If you got to hold on to your assets and they were still scrappy and competitive, like I don't think they needed to speed up the process the way that they did. And listen, we could be saying all this and talking down on the Knicks title hopes, and then they flip a switch that we didn't even see come to playoffs. So I guess we'll wait and see.
It's going to be vital, man. Like we did that cap exercise, and you're looking at them having like that taxpayer exemption, $5 million. Anything's possible. I highly doubt they break this core up just yet. So given that, and with no picks due to the McCall trade, you got no first round pick. You know, Kolick, Dottier, McCullers. Is Beauchamp going to go do something on the two-way? Watson, like those guys are going to be vital for this bench, man.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I'm very curious to see what happens this summer. If somebody if the Knicks throttle the Bucks, and like what happens with Giannis, do they maybe do something there? Like, there's obviously always been that connection, right? I'm curious to find out what happens, but I guess a lot will determine what happens in April and maybe May.
CP the Fanchise, James Edwards III, a.k.a. Trilogy in the building. Salute to everybody in the chat. Once again, hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe to the channel. Salute to my Fanchise channel members. Father Peace, I see you in here. Gregory Weiner, Rare Edition. Shout out to the Knicks chick. Nostalgic Nick in here. Salute to you. Daniel Bolsajar, I see you as well. Terrence Cox, Bees Noriega, I see you. Okay, Knicks and Bucks tipping off at 8:30. No word about Giannis yet? Are you refreshing your Twitter? Anything?
Let me check. Let me check out my guy Eric Nem and see if he said anything really quick.
Okay.
I'd be curious.
All right, so we're checking in on Giannis. Big coaching news in the NBA today. Bombshell, shocking news.
Buddy.
In Memphis. You know, I never thought I'd see the day, 10 games left in the season, where you have a playoff-bound coach get axed. But that's what we saw in Memphis, man. Taylor Jenkins getting shown the door. in Memphis. They got the 4th seed in the West right now, and he's packing his bags, man. What'd you think about that?
So I think a lot of, and it looks like Doc said the other day that he thinks Giannis will only miss 1 game, but there has been no official update yet on if he'll play tonight.
Okay.
I saw a lot of people, like some people were hitting me saying like, "Oh, there must be something. Taylor must have did something. There must be some." This is kind of my read on it, and I could be wrong again. I don't cover the Grizzlies. I know they don't really have any sources over there. It feels like to me that they really like the assistant that they made the interim head coach.
Okay.
And maybe there was a fear of losing him once the season ended, and they decided that, well, maybe Taylor has lost the team. Like, they've only beaten one team above 500, and I think it was they've only beaten one team above 500 like over the last 2 months, and it was Dallas before with a bunch of guys out, so it was like fake 500 because of where Dallas. And like maybe they thought, I don't know, maybe they thought they just need fresh voice, and they really like this guy, and they didn't want to lose him, so they decided to pull the plug now. And that's what it feels like to me. Yeah. Maybe something else comes out, but that's just kind of what it felt like.
Tuomas Lasallo takes over, and as many people speculate, this is their guy. This is the guy that they want. So here you have it. You have a guy who's taking his team to the playoffs, taking over for Lionel Hollins, taking him to the playoffs. He's anti-minutes police. He's got the deepest bench in the league. He's played all these guys 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, and he's still out of there. So, I don't know.
He's a good coach.
He's a good coach.
He will be the first call to a lot of teams in 2 weeks. Like, he will not be jobless long unless he wants to be.
I don't think, like, to me, I don't think Memphis is a coaching issue. I think they are ultimately capped out with the talent thing. Ja, they don't have enough to get through the West. They don't have enough star power. I think Ja was a gift and a curse, and I'm a gift in that he's a great player, a curse in that they weren't bad enough with him to get better players, right?
And that's been a theme a couple of years now,
Right, and so they're a small market team who they don't get free agents. Remember, they could have gotten they wanted Jimmy, and that would have been a good pickup. But what Jimmy say? I'm not signing with these guys. So it's almost similar to a free agent dilemma that they have. I just don't see a pathway to get better unless they trade for somebody that can improve their chances.
I'm with you. My thing is like, well, what did they think this Memphis team? Like, Ja hasn't even really been that good this year, and they're still the 4th seed.
Has not been good.
And so, like, my thing is like maybe just a new voice, maybe I don't know. I'm just saying like this is what's going through my head when I saw the news. Maybe he lost the locker room, and again, maybe they just really liked the other guy and they thought now was the time. So, listen, I thought Taylor Jenkins at every turn maximized that team. It seemed like him and Ja, like Memphis is one of the very few arenas where the media gets to sit courtside, and like, I mean, it could just like him and like Ja looked really locked into whatever he talked. Jaren Jackson looked really locked into whenever he talked. So I don't know if there's an issue with the players. Maybe we'll find out. That hasn't been out there yet. But that dude he will not go long without a job. Like, I think he's one of the better coaches in basketball. Just listen, when you're able to maximize and have consistency like that, when your team has some flaws, your star's been in and out of the lineup, turn Jaren Jackson into Jaren's always been very talented, but he's really gotten the most out of Jaren Jackson. It's a good coach, man. He'll be all right. I don't feel too bad for him. He'll be all right.
Taylor Jenkins out of there. So now with that being said, so Taylor Jenkins is fired today. So now with that, Knicks fans got their ears perked up. Like, oh man, we got a coach out of here in 10 games. What do we got to do to get Tibbs going? And this is shout out to my guy Chris Vernon. Does a great job covering the Grizzlies on the Chris Vernon show. This was a snippet from his reaction today because I was tapped in with him on his reaction, and so Knicks fans went crazy with this one. And I'm gonna play it for you, and you tell me what you think. Here we go.
Not only can they not beat anybody good, they get smoked by everybody good. We were texting during the Utah game, and I go, oh my God, I can't believe we held them under 70. Utah! We don't want to accept that we're not any good. We have no wins against anybody with a pulse, and a lot of them are against teams that actively try to lose. You're about to go into the playoffs. Guess what you have to play in the playoffs? This is what we've said. I swear every other day we have said this since January, which is you got to play somebody good in the playoffs. So this whole not being able to beat anybody good and losing all those games by double digits, like there's been all these moments where you've said, could this be the jolt? Could this be the jolt? Could this be the jolt? I think, and I said at that time, I think this guy has done a very good job here over his tenure. I've said that over and over again. I think this year, he has not done a good job. As I said, you can go find the clip, and people were spreading that around. I got in trouble for it.
I'm pause it there.
I love his voice.
He's great, voice. Man. We got him on the show this year, previewing the show. He's
saw
a great
that.
Guy. Yeah, great show. So anyway, now Knicks fans, they got the tinfoil hats on. They threw the tinfoil koofies on. They is this what Leon and these guys are thinking, and Dolan and on down when it comes to Tibbs?
I think there is so much respect for what Tibbs has done for this organization. It went from a rudderless, inconsistent ship to the beacon of consistency since he's been here. And I'm not saying that things might not change depending on how the postseason goes. I'm not saying that. I don't think they would embarrass him in this manner and firing him 10 games when he's third in the East. I just don't. I think they have too much respect for him. Listen. At the end of the day, I know they've had their peaks and valleys. They're still one of the best. They're still one of the best offenses in basketball. The defense has gotten better. They just are inconsistent with it. And I don't think that the front offices would consider doing something like that to somebody of Tibbs' stature, who helped make this franchise a non-laughing stock anymore, and two, has great relationships to the point that somebody that you really love, like the Brunson and the Leon Rose, you don't want to disrespect them like that. And two and three, so we don't know what, if Tibbs were ever to get fired, we don't know, it's pretty likely it could be his last job. I don't think you do that to a guy if it's just unless it's going terribly, and it's not going terribly. I don't think that they're viewing that anyway. Guys ride for Tibbs. Now, again, I'm not saying that it's not impossible that something happens depending on how they look in the playoffs. I'm just saying I don't think that they would ever throw him under the bus at the end of the regular season when they're where they are in the East and what he's done for the organization.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think barring a catastrophic first-round oust, I think he'll get one more shot at this. But the Memphis situation is, I don't think the timing of it is unique. There's only been three coaches in the history that have been fired after 40 wins in the season. Larry Brown with the Nets in the 80s, and Don Nelson with the Mavericks, I believe. And so this
and Kenny Atkinson, I think in Brooklyn.
Okay, maybe. But I think the timing is interesting. But in terms of team building and expectations, this is the route. The coach is always going to get be the first domino to fall. It's the easiest to change, to see if, is another coach going to be able to get the most out of the investments that we've made? And then I think they will tinker with the core and ultimately with the roster. So I do think Tibbs gets one more crack at this. And then maybe after next year, they'll look to make that move. Because as you said, the relationship is a lot stronger with Tibbs and Leon and Wes. But you never know. You never know what the boss is thinking at the top. Yeah,
exactly. That's the one that's the one you just never you can't put your pulse on. You don't know.
That's it, man. What do you
feels embarrassed? You never know.
Yeah, true indeed, man. What do you got on the pipeline on the burners at the Athletic?
Yeah, man. This week I posted a story on who would the Pistons want to, or the Knicks want to face in the playoffs? Pistons, Pacers, or Bucks? Yeah. I did a pop quiz with PJ Tucker where I quizzed him on his career, and he told some great stories about Kevin Durant and all that stuff. You should check that out. And then I did a story on Doug Burns, who I'm sure most of you are familiar with.
Yep.
just kind of who the hell he is and what he does and how this came together with his post-game recap videos. So check those stories out, all at The Athletic. You go to my Twitter feed, JL Edwards III. Yeah, man, just kind of gearing up for the playoffs, getting some stuff in order. Yeah, man, just curious to see how this ends, who they play in the first round, and gearing up from there. But, yeah, there'll be stories at The Athletic 2-3 times a week as always up until the end of the season for them, yeah.
Yes, sir. Well, hey, man, keep up the great work. We'll be tapped in, and we'll see what happens tonight when the Knicks take on the Bucks in Milwaukee, man. James Edwards, a.k.a. Trilogy. Have a good weekend, bro.
I appreciate it, man. You two just got to say, go green, Michigan State. Let's get to that Elite Eight tonight, baby. Let's go. Let's got to throw that out there.
Let's go. Absolutely, man. Good luck to you guys. And salute to everybody in the chat once again, man. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Shout out to Trilogy for his time, man. Enjoy the weekend. And good luck to Michigan State, as he said. This show, man, let's shout out some sponsors, pay some bills, man. This show is sponsored by DraftKings when it comes to college basketball, as Trilogy just mentioned. And March Madness, one thing is for sure. Nothing is for sure. Upsets, buzzer beaters, Cinderella's advancing. Top seeds going home early. It's all gonna happen. Bet the unexpected. Every upset every day with DraftKings Sportsbook. With live betting, exclusive content, promos, and parlays, DraftKings is the ultimate college basketball destination for March. If it's your first time here, salute to everybody in Team #new. Use our code KFTV. Bet $5 on the DraftKings Sportsbook app and get $200 in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Remember, 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. This is for new customers only. And the bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance, so you got to be careful with that. Also, for additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. All right, so we want to shout out to DraftKings, and also we want to shout out to another new sponsor. If you guys have been tapping into this week's shows, you guys have seen that we do have a new sponsor as well, and that is over at Bear Mattress. That's right, man. Go to bearmattress.com and check out their selection. Use our code KFTV for 40% off site-wide. Right now, you're seeing on the site that on their website that they have 30% off. Well, KFTV viewers are getting 40% off site-wide at bearmattress.com. And what makes Bear Mattress so unique is that they don't just have, a selection of mattresses. They quiz you first on your sleeping patterns. They quiz you on, the type of sleeper that you are, any ailments that you might be dealing with, and then they match the perfect mattress based on your needs and your lifestyle. So what they sent me based on the quiz I took was the Elite Hybrid. This is it right here, man. 4.5 stars out of 5. It's the real deal. Best overall for side sleepers. Because, I need quality sleep, man. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a dad. Me and the Knicks chick, we like to go out and do our thing. So sleep is imperative. And especially for us, because we both got back issues, dealing with back issues. So the Elite Hybrid, we've been testing it out. Working very well. I'm getting some good sleep. It's got a nice recovery technology and cooling technology to keep you nice and cool when you are sleeping, because I do get a little bit sweaty when I'm sleeping at nighttime, so the bed does keep me cool. So I do like those things about Bear Mattress. And one thing about Bear Mattress that is great is that you can try it up to 120 nights to make sure you love it, and if not, you can return it for a full refund, hassle-free. 82% of customers saw an improvement in their sleep quality with their new Bear Mattress, and 95% of them said they would recommend it to a friend. So once again, go to bearmattress.com, use our code KFTV for 40% off site-wide. Promo code KFTV. Okay, so to you guys, man, how are we feeling? How are we feeling about that conversation? I feel like me and Trilogy, this was a good heart-to-heart conversation, man. 10 games left in the season. Playoffs bound. How do we feel, man? How do we feel? He's right, man. Like, the fan base is really soured on this team. I'm still hopeful. I'm still a diehard, and I'm still all 82. If you guys are all 82 in the chat, go ahead and throw all 82 in there. Salute to the replay gang. Salute to everybody on this Friday. Knicks and Bucks kicking off at 8:30. So let's go. Latch, I see you in the chat. Latch, how you feeling, man? All right, so we will have play-by-play tonight, 8:30 p.m. tip-off time, CK2K on the ones and twos, followed by post-game live. Lash says nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. All 82 from the Knicks chick. Ever the optimist. Andrew H says, no Randall, no problem. I'm optimistic. Yeah, when Trilogy was like, some fans wanted to see 3.0 last year's team, I was about to be like, yeah, without Julius. So, all love, Julius. All love, buddy. Anyway, yeah, man, salute to you guys. About to go get some eats, get ready for the game. Oh, man, who saw the new merch drop that we dropped, man? The Once a Knick, speaking of Julius, the Once a Knick, Always a Knick merch drop just dropped on KnicksFanTV.com shop. It is a mural that we collaborated on with this artist called Double Double, man. And as you see, it's a mural of some of your favorite Knicks. So we got the t-shirt available, and we got the wall art available. Doesn't come with the frame, just the wall art. You got to get your own frame. But we were selling an 18 by 24 wall art as well. You can get it at KnicksFanTV.com. For my Fanchise channel members, Thomas Dennery, Fabian, Mellow Mike, check out or drop your discount code in the community section, the Fanchise channel member community section. I dropped your discount code. So use your code at checkout, and you guys can get some savings on that one. Okay? But yeah, man, family's loving it right now. As you see on the IG. Pure fire emojis going on. So people are loving it. Orders are coming in like crazy. We just sent out, shout out my guy Lee Bloxham. We just sent Lee his merch out to the UK. So yeah, Julius is on there. Julius is on there. We didn't leave Julius out of this. You know, can't leave Julius out there. He's on there. All right. So we'll see you guys tonight, man, at game time. Everybody have a great night. Let's go Knicks. Let's get this W. We out of here. Peace.